would mute your line unless you're speaking. There's a couple of things I did want to mention. Toward the bottom of your screen, there's a place to raise your hand, or over to the right of your screen, there's a place that if you'll move your little arrow that you can chat, you can enter a question there. But the furthest to the right, where it says activities, a little triangle and two circles, there is a place for the Q&A. And that's where we're asking that if you do have a question during the presentation, that you enter it in that, and then we will have the appropriate speaker answer your question. If it's a question during that particular presentation, we will try and address it at that time. Otherwise, we will address it at the end of the session. So again, welcome everyone. Ainsley, let's put up the agenda. This is what we're going to be covering today. As I mentioned, we talked about the little icons at the bottom of your screen. And we're going to start off with our section updates. And I'd like to introduce our president, Jackie Payne. It's coming from cold Amarillo, possibly today. So Jackie, welcome and thank you. If you have any updates on the section or section leadership, we would appreciate hearing from you. And you might want to unmute if you're on the line. Jackie? Well, let's give, oh, there she is. Oh, I'm not muted. We can't hear you, Jackie.
Jackie, you might be able to disconnect and then try rejoining and see if that that helps. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's move on to Van, if that's all right. We'll have an update if there are any staff updates or section updates that you want to share with those that are on the call today.
Yep. So thank you, Carol, and great to be with everybody today, and hope you're staying warm. Just 3 or 4 topics I wanted to hit on real quick. One is kind of related, or first 2 kind of related to community, is we've got what we're calling a comprehensive grant underway. I think the deadline is today for our CTAs and NJTLs. It's a new process that we're going through. It's a streamlined process. We think it'll be much easier to not only go through the grant process, but then keep us updated on things that are happening. But most importantly, at least from my perspective, is it provides a longer term perspective for those groups. It's a multi-year situation, so it's not 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. It allows CTAs and NJTLs to think in a longer term perspective and know that they'll have funds available. So very excited about that. And I know our community service coordinators have been working through the various groups with that. So happy that has now come to fruition and is underway. Regarding the community service coordinators, formerly TSRs, as you may recall, we increased from 5 to 10, and we now have all 10 in place as of a week from, I think, from a week from today. Allie will be joining the team. So we effectively, each geographic area of Texas now has 2. And in addition to a whole host of job functions that they perform on a regular basis, one of the things that we hope and feel like this will help us with is identifying opportunities to get resources and grow tennis at the local level. We've said that all the time. You know, tennis really grows, especially grassroots tennis really grows at the local level, and the local folks in those communities know what they need with regards to programming. So we feel like having more people in those areas will help not only identify opportunities, but get us more efficient at getting resources to those areas that have some, try new things. We've got, as we've talked about for a year, we've got all these new folks that came to tennis. We need to reach out to them and find ways to get them involved in tennis. So very excited about that. And I'll touch a little bit on a new pilot that we're doing potentially that will help with that. Third thing is and I've mentioned this before, community hubs, and these are college campuses that are going to start utilizing their courts and their expertise to grow tennis and basically become a community hub. And this was a program that we identified over a year ago as important to Texas, and USTA National felt like it was important as well. And because of that, 4 Texas schools, University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley in Edinburgh, St. Mary's in San Antonio, Lubbock Christian in Lubbock, of course, which is a brand new program, new courts, everything. And then Angelo State in San Angelo, they have all received funding from USTA National, totaling over $30,000 for these 4 Texas schools. So it provides 2 things. It helps these schools maintain and promote their tennis programs within that tennis community, whether they're running leagues or tournaments or kids' days. There's a whole, basically a laundry list of items that they can choose from. So we're going to have some, big check type award official recognitions in March and April when we get a little bit deeper into the season. So those are, again, happy to see that those have come to pass, and we've got a number of schools on the deck that we feel like will come online in 2022 as well. So that leads into the last point I wanted to make, which is there is a software platform that's called Kinetica, and Texas is piloting, and maybe there's one other section, but I'm not certain on that. But we are piloting this new, it's basically a mapping software that will help identify players and potential players based on some very targeted metrics and demographics. So as an example, you could put in a zip code, pick any zip code in Texas, and you could give it let's say a 7-mile radius around that zip code. And then within that radius, it can tell you who plays tennis in that area, and it's based on census data, sports survey data, USTA membership data, and different sources. So we feel like this tool, and I haven't seen it yet, they're building it out. We're going to get it, I think, sometime in February, and we'll be able to start understanding it. But this will be able to help our providers better understand who within their area plays tennis, and is it more youth oriented? Is it more adult oriented, so that they can craft programs and services that meet the needs of the people that live in the area around them. So this is something that's brand new, and we will be one of maybe 1 or 2 sections that'll be piloting it in 2022. So really cool. And I can't wait to get our hands on it and see what all it can do. And then we can start reaching out to people around the state to see how they can utilize it. So those are 4 updates that I have, and happy to answer any questions.
Van, I had just posted a question, I guess, going on the family homepage and looking up the staff directory. We have some new staff members in different positions, perhaps, but I was wondering if we could have each staff member write a short bio, just a short paragraph, a few sentences about themselves, and just post it.
Okay.
Under their name. I mean, just consider it, think about it. So we as volunteers get to know the staff a little bit better. Even those that have been around for a while, we may not know what their interests are or what they do exactly.
Yep, good. And some people have moved around. So yeah.
Kind of what their areas of responsibility. I mean, I know they have their titles up there, but we may not know exactly what they are in charge of.
Yeah, very good. We actually have a document similar to that, but we can refine it. Yeah, that's a good idea.
But yeah, when you go on the family homepage, you go, just click on staff directory and you could find it right there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Very good. Thank you,
So
Carol.
thank you, Van. Appreciate it. Good updates. I know Kata's working on that grant along with hosting that tournament this weekend. So lots going on as usual.
It's an appropriate name, isn't it? Isn't it called the polar bear?
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah, and it usually does live up to its name.
Yeah.
We give long sleeve T-shirts.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's go to our president, Jackie Payne. I see your lovely face there coming from Amarillo. Would you like to give us an update on volunteer or leadership updates?
Yes, thank you, Carol. Can y'all hear me now? Okay, I had this problem yesterday. I was on calls and had to keep logging out and logging in. So if my signal gets weak, I may close my video. But again, thank you, Carol, and thank you, Robert, for scheduling these engagement sessions. As you know, this is a series of engagements that we've had, and I appreciate this new opportunity that, in my opinion, has worked out quite well. It also allows each of us to see some new faces, and maybe I can kind of feel or touch you through the screen here. So thank you. And again, this is being recorded, so I like that initiative as well. The questions that were submitted in advance primarily deal with volunteer engagement. And ironically, they were on both sides of the spectrum. I had questions regarding concerns about the upcoming in-person meeting and questions about us not having one-on-one in-person opportunities. So yesterday, I also had 2 past presidents reach out to me expressing their concerns about the in-person meeting. And we are very cognizant of everyone's concerns. Well, I can't say every concern, but we will be taking precautions. We're working with the hotel. We're monitoring guidelines. We're going to encourage social distancing to the best of our ability. We will require masks, and if individuals don't have masks, they will be provided. So our goal is to be inclusive. Our goal is to be accommodating to everyone who is attending both in person and also virtually. In other words, our goal is to offer and provide as best we can the best for both worlds. And historically, if someone was unable to attend the meeting, they simply didn't have an opportunity to participate. In this new world, just as we're doing today, if you can't participate today, we're offering it at other times that might be more convenient and better suit your schedules. So we're doing our best to accommodate everyone in person and also virtually. I will say up front, it won't be perfect, but we're expending every opportunity that we have and making every effort to make it the best. Now, obviously, the volunteer structure that was perceived for this term, our Rally to Serve, has not gone as we originally planned. Rally to Serve included not only project team participation, but it also was to have provided all team members opportunities to attend and participate and network at events throughout last year and events this year. Our local volunteer sign up and implementation did take longer than we would have liked. However, we piloted a program last year at the college showcase, and that was met with much success. So at this time, we're primed for a full launch, and we have a test group in place for 2022 to get our event networking participation underway. I'm really excited. We have a staff person who's also now dedicated to our volunteer outreach and our initiatives. So I'm extremely, and I'm going to use the word extremely optimistic, we'll have opportunities throughout this coming year to meet in person during the spring, during the summer, throughout the fall. But regardless, seeing your smiling faces here today reinforces the value of our volunteer network. And it's important that we take measures to offer these opportunities and be more accommodating and inclusive of everyone's needs and lifestyles. So I just thank you. As I always say, I'm a phone call, text, or email away. And I know Carol says that as well. Again, thank you guys, and let's get going.
Thanks, Jackie. And as you have said several times, being nimble or being flexible is very important, especially in these changing times. I think I have Sandra Lindstrom has raised a hand. Did you have a question, Sandra?
I do. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Jackie. I have a question regarding the meeting. I have a meeting coming up next week myself, and our meeting organizers have ordered at-home COVID tests for everybody to take on Thursday or Friday before we attend the meeting. I'm wondering if that's any possibility for the USTA Texas meeting.
Sandra, we've gone back and forth on this, and at this time, our inclination is not to do that. We've weighed it heavily on both sides, and our position at this point is to let this be a decision for each of us individually.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jackie before we leave this topic? If you do have something that comes up throughout the presentation, you can certainly type it in to the Q&A over on the far right. So let's move on to our main event. I'd like to introduce our Director of Junior Tennis, Julio Godreau. Julio's been with the section now for 6 years and came from being an owner and director of a tennis academy. And so he's been in the junior mix for quite some time and has developed some highly ranked players nationally and internationally, and even a NCAA D1 collegiate champion. So he knows what he's talking about. And as you all know, junior tennis changes constantly, and it's hard to keep up with all the rules, but we felt like our volunteers and our staff, it's important that we know about the junior competition pathway, and that at least we're somewhat familiar. If we don't know the answer to it, we can always say, we'll get the answer and get back to you. But we're out in our communities, and it's important for us to be knowledgeable about what's going on. And certainly there's been a lot of changes in the tournament structure, in the junior tournament structure at the different levels, the allocation of tournaments, how those are distributed around the section. So we've had some questions ahead of time that Julio is going to be addressing. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Julio and also let you know that he is certified USPTA, PTR. He has an MBA, and his bachelor's was in psychology, so he knows how to deal with people and understand people and get the word across. So I think we have the right guy in this position. And so I'd like to introduce Julio Godreau to go over some highlights that we can take away with us as we go out into our communities. Julio?
Thanks, Carol, and thanks everyone for being on the call today. I appreciate your time. Ainsley, you want to switch over?
Oh yeah, I just stopped sharing my screen. If you want to go into presentation mode, you should be able to.
Okay. It's weird, it's not popping open for me to do my side.
Okay, give me just a second. I'll pull it up and I'll share my screen, and you can just kind of walk me through the
Thanks, Aid.
transitions.
So before we continue and Ainsley get this up for us, happy and excited and grateful to have the job that I have. I think I'm truly blessed that I get to do what I do for a living. There's nothing better than talking to parents. Usually they call me when they don't like something, but it gives us an opportunity to kind of walk them off the edge or of the ledge. Sorry, the ledge is the word. Is if you want to go ahead and click one more time. So we're going to reflect back on 2021. We're going to give you a little bit of a historical data here, because what we've done and the staff that worked along with me did was it's truly remarkable. 2021 felt nothing less than what this picture reflects and shows. And as you can see, that's a USTA staff member there, ready to take it on. Go ahead and click, Ains. We're facing three big gifts that 2021 brought to us in the junior competitive world. It brought to us COVID. We still were dealing with COVID and all the uncertainties, and maybe even more challenging in 2021 than 2020, believe it or not, because people were under the perception that it was done. It was over with. We can move on. And we were the furthest thing from being done. We were in that transitional phase of how is it that we're going to live with this still lingering around and being here with us. We then have a new system that's coming into play. They're changing everything. And the new system to us, going from super champs, champs, and challengers to a 7-level system that doesn't let everybody into the tournament. You mean I got to register for a tournament and I may not get in? And I have to wait until the week of the tournament to find out if I actually need a hotel or not? But we never did that. We always knew that we were getting in. So the new system brought on some terrific challenges. And then to add on to it, our third gift for 2021 was this new technological platform. That it's going to be a blessing, and we're already seeing the dividends. But like everything new, we encountered some big challenges at the beginning of 2021 that carried on through for a long part of the year because they were unexpected. We were trying to merge technology that was almost 30 plus years old into today's technology, and it was a struggle to get it to work together and communicate to each other. And so if you can hit, that would be great. Now we're going to do a slight comparison because we need to look to see what happened and get some historical data. So we just looked at the challenges we were facing in 2021 and pandemic, new technology. I mean, changes everywhere. You think that things are just going to completely fall apart, which they probably should have. Go ahead, Ains. So 2018, historical data tells us that we had 699 junior tournaments take place in the Texas section. Go ahead, Ains. In 2019, we had 643. In 2020, we had 586. And in 2021, we had 795, which represented, go ahead, Ains, from 2018, that was a 14% increase. So a year that we're dealing with all those issues, comparing it to a very strong pre-COVID year, we had a 14% increase in offerings. In 2000, compared to 2019, pre-COVID still, it was a 24% increase. And compared to 2020, we were expecting that it was going to be a 36% increase. So nothing short of really, I think, with all the obstacles we faced, to knocking it out of the park. And believe it or not, a lot of the credit to this goes to something that I know a lot of you have heard people, and it's hard to get the word out of get everybody to understand that why we're doing things. But we would not have been able to do this if it was not because we were actually scheduling our events on a month-to-month basis. What this meant to us was that we never committed an event to a provider that did not have secured the facilities to host that event. As a result of that, we had zero cancellation of events or rescheduling events in 2021. The sections that we compete with, which are for at the national level, it's Eastern, Southern Cal, and Florida, and they all ended up the year losing some of the allocation that they had for level 4s and level 5s that are restricted because they went ahead and scheduled out entire years. And as a result, 2 or 3 weeks before the event, a provider now has not been able to secure courts. They find out then it's too late to reschedule that event. And once one of those events falls off your schedule, it becomes really hard to find a place for it because you're going to schedule pretty tight as it is to begin with. Ainsley, you can go ahead and hit. Thank you. And go ahead. Now, what you're seeing here, it's the entire spectrum. So this is our entire junior product. And as you can see, there's a bunch of boxes here. Well, it used to be that we thought of junior tennis as Super Champ, Champ, and Challenger. Maybe some of you thought about JTT, but that's about as far as the thinking went. None of these areas here seem to have been a part or considered to be a part. So you have now that looking at the bottom, this is the area that touches the player's introduction. You have a program that's mostly run in public parks and public facilities called Intro to Tennis that allows the players to get started in the sport. You then have the possible touch that takes place at the schools with the school programs. And then you have your pros and your coaches that also help as a tool to introduce players into the game. Go ahead, Ains. You then have 3 very low pressure, low risk environments that the players can get introduced to. As you see this area here, there's nothing where the player is in the isolated individual environment yet that our sport brings that we know creates a lot of pressure. So these are 3 products that we're going to be offering that deal with the players in a team environment. The first one you have there, as you can see, it's going to be the team tournament. Then you have the team challenge and the team league. And the big difference here is going to be that the team tournament is going to be an event that will require about an hour to 2 hour commitment from the parent and the player. The team challenge, it's a product that's going to take anywhere between 2 to 4 hour commitment from the player and the parent. And the team league, now you're looking at commitment of several weeks. And each week they're coming out for anywhere between probably 2 to 4 hours. Go ahead, Ainsley. Now we start to migrate into the area where the player starts to see the sport in an individual perspective. And we're looking at that 10 and under area in the orange and green space. And you're going to see that National has given it a specific name. They refer to this area now as the junior circuit. And right above it is that new 7 level that we're going to get into some details following up this one slide that shows you the levels 1 through 7 for the junior competitive system. And right above it, which we never really thought about it or was presented in an optical way like this. Go ahead, Ainsley. You have tennis on campus. We never really thought of tennis on campus as being a junior product, but it is. We got a lot of kids that graduate, that go into college that are still 18. And it is the next thing that makes sense. Not everybody's going to want to make the commitment into play collegiate tennis, especially in today's world. It's almost impossible. Somebody that wants to go into schooling and go into pre-med or a very aeronautical engineering degree, the amount of outside lab work that those fields require make it almost impossible for these players to commit to playing either D1, D2, or collegiate tennis. It's just not possible. But they can still play tennis on campus. You can go ahead, Ainsley. So now let's get into that competitive system. And we have the level 7. And what the level 7s bring in is that it's a one-day tournament. So it's one-day requirements. They're non-elimination. The selection for those events is bottom-up. And we have an unlimited amount of them. The biggest part on this product, it's the one-day commitment and really the bottom-up selection. Why do I say that? In the past, tennis had lacked a product that allowed the consumer to kind of sample our sport. Our sport in the past started off at that challenger level, really, and it required the players to make the same commitment that somebody that was already committed to our sport was already making. And when you told parents that I got to commit my entire weekend, you're going to take me hostage right off the bat when they don't know yet if their kid likes or doesn't like tennis. That became very difficult and challenging for us to allow us to retain the numbers, which I know you all have heard that retention is something that we've been hurting and that we're trying to seek improvement. And that's where this product comes in. This product can be tailored where it only takes 2 to 4 hours, and it's limited to not taking a max of 8 hours for somebody to come out and play our sport. The second part is it selects the players into the events from the bottom up. So the players with no ranking or very low rankings get into the event before anybody that already has a ranking. Ainsley, can you go ahead? Thank you. The level 6, go ahead. Somewhat similar to the level 7 events, but now we go into the 2-day tournament segment, and we start to get closer to what our challenger level used to be. Big difference here is these events now are non-elimination. So if you can recall, in the challenger level, we used to do what was called first match loser consolation. So a player was only guaranteed at the most 2 matches. In the new level 6 events, if our events are filled, the players are going to be guaranteed 4 matches, win or lose. They can lose all 4, they can win all 4. It doesn't matter. They'll get to play 4 matches. We're scheduling this event where they're getting to play 2 matches on one day, 2 matches the following day. And we're trying to be somewhat sequential with our scheduling so that we don't demand an entire day. These events are either round robins or compass draw, which means all the parents know way ahead of time when their players are definitely going to be playing. If you recall in the past, I have to wait to see if I win or I lose to see when I play next. Right now here, when we publish the draws and the times on Wednesday, the consumer already knows what is the demands that the event's going to take on their personal time and personal scheduling. We also have an unlimited amount of events that we can run in the section on the level 6. And we start going into the area where the players are selected from the highest ranked player to the lowest ranked player from the top down. Ainsley, I'm loving the red dot. Thank you. Switch over to the next screen. Now we go into the level 5. Go ahead. These are 2-day tournaments, non-elimination, top down, singles and doubles, and we get 36 of them. Big change on this product for us into 2022 now. This product used to be, first of all, it was also the elimination type event. You won one, great. You lost your second match, you were out. So you're only guaranteed 2 matches. We're running this event in a compass draw format. So the players are guaranteed, if the events are filled, if we have a full draw 16, everybody in the event's guaranteed 4 matches in the weekend. And we do 2 matches on Saturday, 2 matches on Sunday. It was that before we were only doing singles in these events. For this year, we gave it a thought outside the box, and all these events are still being played in just 2 days, but they all have now singles and doubles, which is something the consumer was asking. We found a way to make this work. And again, the way it works, the players come out on Saturday and they play their 2 singles matches first on Saturday. Those 2 singles matches are then followed by 2 doubles matches. Also, the doubles are guaranteed, by the way. We're doing compass draw also on the doubles. So the players have a guaranteed 4 matches in singles if the draw is full, and 3 matches in doubles if the draw is full as well. So we play 2 singles on Saturday, 2 doubles on Saturday, followed by 1 doubles Sunday morning, and then the last 2 singles matches on Sunday. We do 2 out of 3 sets with a 10-point breaker in the singles. And in the doubles, we do 2 out of short sets with the 7-point tiebreaker and no ad scoring. So that's how we stay within the rules, and we're able to fit in 4 matches in one day, 2 singles, 2 doubles, and then the 1 doubles and 2 singles on Sunday. We think that the consumer is really going to be appreciative of this product. This is really outside the box. I don't know of any other section that it's doing this format. Most of the other sections are requiring, in order to do singles and doubles, they're taking 3 days, which then we go back into the area where we start disrupting schooling. We get heavily criticized that we don't think of academics, and we start disrupting parents' work schedules. As we all know, it's very difficult. Those days off are valuable, especially come holiday times if we have kids, which all these people do. And we want to save them as much as we can from when they mean a lot to us. Go ahead, Ainsley, level 4. Our level 4 product offering for 2022, again, it's very similar to the level 5. 2-day tournaments, non-elimination, top-down selection, singles and doubles, and it's 7 tournaments. We're literally following the same model that we just told you in the level 5s, we're doing in the level 4s. How do we do this? I'll give you a little bit more insight. We still take 64 players into the events. But what we do is we flight them into 4 draws of 16. So that's how the 16 compass, that's how the players get to play only 4 matches. So really neat, really cool. Just very curious to see when we run some surveys at the end of the year, how pleased our consumer is with this format that we're running. Go ahead, Ainsley, for level 3. Level 3, it's a 4 and 7-day tournaments. They use feeding consolation. The 4-day one is a feeding consolation through the round of 16. And the 7-day one, which is the slam, is a feeding consolation through the quarters. We select players from top down. We do singles and doubles, but in the 7-day event for the slam, singles and doubles takes place at the same time. In the 4-day one, singles and doubles are split. And the reason why we have to split them is because if we were to do singles and doubles, the 4-day one is done on a holiday weekend. So we have the 3 days. So kids do have to miss 1 day of school, those that are in the finals, to play the last day. But we only get 2 of these. If we were to try to play singles and doubles on that 4-day one, it means we would have to limit every draw to only 32 players. So by doing singles one weekend and then doubles as a standalone event, we're still able to give a chance to 64 players to get those valuable points on the single side. Go ahead, Ainsley. We then have team events. We have a level 2 intersectional that we do with the Southwest section. And we did the pilot this past year, and we're going to continue doing the event. What we did, due to the proximity with the section and the easy fly in and fly out, is that Southwest hosts the 12s and 14s portion, and we host the 16s and 18s portion. Why do we split it that way? We split it that way so we can accommodate and give the chance. As you can see, it's level 2 points. By doing this, instead of one section hosting the entire event one year and then the other section hosting the entire event the following year, we double up the amount of players that we can get exposure to those level 2 points. If we were to do all the age groups, we can only probably take about 16 players per gender per age group to participate in the event. By splitting it up, we give a chance to 32 players per gender per age group, a chance to get those level 2 points. Then we have a level 4 additional event that's an intrasectional. It's a team event just within the Texas section. And then zonals has been confirmed that will resume again on a different slide format for this coming year. And the different format is it's nothing really outside the box, but it is that instead of each section sending X amount of players, that number it's decreasing, and they're going to combine the players from sections to make up teams. So that way we achieve a more level-based play in the event. So instead of Texas playing another Texas team always in the finals, it perhaps will be a team called Red Team that has some players from Texas, but also has some players from Southwest, Florida, and so forth. Ainsley, you can go ahead. And we're down to the last screen, and give it one quick tap and tap it again. And I am done with this part. And now I just sent it back to Ainsley.
So Julio, that's the end of your presentation.
That's the end of the slides.
Okay.
I'm ready now for some questions. And
Okay, good. And
so
Matt
much-
McCoy had a question about how much estimated total match time do the players play over a weekend? Estimated time if they are playing 4 singles, 3 doubles. Would this be different compared to prior years?
I think it's less, Matt, because last year, in order to give him a chance to catch up to the system, we had to go into some events where, in order to fit 64 players and keep it within 2 days, we were making players have to play 3 singles. They could possibly find themselves playing 3 singles Saturday and 3 singles on Sunday. So even though we're doing now the singles and doubles, I think the overall time that they're spending on court is probably less. And it'll be maybe an interesting topic to somebody like yourself to pick it up and do some research, do some data. We might be able to track it because in the new tournament desk format, the TDs, it automatically tracks the length that matches take to get played from when they were assigned to a court to when the score was entered into the system. So let me ask National, because it might be that some data that they can automatically get.
Yeah, I think it could be an interesting topic to look at on just, in 2 days playing 7 matches. I mean, I know you'll have some kids that'll have no problem doing that. I think other kids will have, just some overuse type things that go on. So, but data can always just kind of be something you track and look for trends. So that's just a topic I thought that it would be good to look at over a 6 to 12 month period.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. You love being around you because you're always pushing me outside my box.
Julio, I actually want to jump in really quick, and then I know Matt Jacob put a question in the queue, and we can switch over to that. A question that had been submitted during with the registration form was, will we eventually plan tournaments for the entire calendar year in advance? I know we're doing some rolling out on a monthly basis. Do you want to talk about how that process is working at the moment?
Yes, we're facing some challenges internally, but we're getting through. If you look at the current tournament calendar that's out in the search area, you're going to see that the level 4 events are 100% populated for the entire year already. The level 5 events are also 100% populated online already. The level 6 events are about 70 to 80% populated already and available. And the level 7 events are about 30 to 40% populated. So we're gradually going through the process, but our objective is that, yes, nothing later than, we're hoping the end of January, that entire schedule, it's available online for the entire year.
Thanks for answering that question for them.
Any other
Ainsley, were
questions?
there any other questions submitted that we haven't covered?
Yes, the other question, Matt Jacob had posted a question in the Q&A. It's great to see the 795 number for 2021 in terms of tournament offerings. Did our total participation numbers also increase?
Matt, it's a challenging number to gather because we were still using the old system. We were not using, so in 2021, I'm using the new technology that I can get access and tell you exactly what was our unique number of players and our overall volume of entries. But in 2020, which is the year that I'm going to compare to, I was not using it yet. So the only way that I can get that data for 2020 is to go tournament by tournament and literally count. I've done it before. It takes anywhere between probably 40 to 80 hours to do tally the data. So what I did was I looked at the overall amount of revenue that came in. And the revenue number, it's not exactly apples to apples, but the revenue number that was collected for entry fees was actually slightly higher. It was about 7% higher than it had been what Tennis Link shows me the year before. So I think that, yes, there was an increase in volume. I'm grateful that from here on out, once 2022 goes through, it's really easy to start comparing apples to apples because the new technology, it's the blessing in that sense to pull out data and the numbers that we want to see.
Thanks, Julio. And since you do have the numbers for 2021, I mean, what were those unique and total numbers for 2021?
I don't remember them. I am 51, about to turn 52. It's not working as well as it used to, but I'm happy to pull them up. And if you want them, I'll text them to you today.
Okay. Thanks, Julio.
Thanks, Matt.
Do we have
Any other
any other questions from those on the call?
I do believe in kind of switching back over, gonna put Van on the spot. Another question that was submitted in advance, Van, in terms of section and staff, how remote day-to-day operations are working and how the balance is there in terms of meeting our staff's needs and productivity.
Well, I think that's probably somewhat in relation to the fact that we sold the building last month. That, of course, we've been in remote world as most of the full world has been for almost 2 years. It's hard to believe now we're coming up on 2 years. So for us, we've been doing this for a long time. We had the building there, but we weren't able to utilize it much. So I think we've really refined the process. We have, we've had our first of the year full staff meeting last week in Austin. We have those pre-scheduled throughout the year. We have regular calls with the various managers and departments. So for us, it's really been a continuation of what we've been doing since March of 2020. And I think in many ways, we've become more efficient. It's at least with regards to times and punctualities. And I know we get more meetings in because it feels like a normal work day, work week, everything is on an hour basis. Something starts at noon, you've got a 1 o'clock, you've got a 2 o'clock. So for us, I think it's been effective. I think the one thing everybody struggles with, and we're no different than that, is how do you stay connected? How do you continue to stay connected with people as we have our staff now? As I mentioned earlier, we went from 5 to 10. So now we have 10 people out in different parts of the state, double what we used to. So we're constantly, working, questioning, trying new things to stay connected as a team. And as we get a little more out of COVID world and get, more and more movement, that becomes easier to do. But we're doing much of what we're doing. We've been doing for the past 2 years. So it's not anything new, but it's working well.
As a staff person, I would also have to personally agree, obviously biased, but well said. Julio had a question.
I don't get a question. I got two things that that didn't come up. So we are on pace for the Slam. It'll be again in Georgetown. It'll be in June. The online form for that would start and ending should be up probably by the end of this month. Where are we with the status with COVID? Because as we know, we got the other resurgence now. What's going on? Believe it or not, up until today, from when we resumed play back in June of 2020, we've had 0 claims or reports that a player has contracted the virus by contact during a tennis tournament. So I think that we've really knocked it out of the park in our management, in our communication with tournament directors, and tournament directors have done just a superb work of working with the consumer. As we know, there's different opinions, and not everybody wants to fit and comply within one mold. So we have to be very selective and very patient on how we work with them. That's it on my end. If there's anything, any last questions that comes to mind, please let me know. If not, feel free to text, email, or call. Most of you got my number. Don't hesitate. Thanks, Carol, for the chance.
Julio, thank you. Ainsley has put on the screen an opportunity to get your feedback on this presentation. There's a survey. If you will take your phone and scan that QR code, you can go in and answer the quick survey to let us know how this presentation went and was it helpful for you. Let's see, I think I'm seeing Bob Haugen. Van, is there any update on the Texas, the tennis center combo in Cedar Park?
Yes, there is. So we had the Endeavor, which is Endeavor Real Estate Group, which is, for those of you that are familiar with Austin, they're the group that built the domain and they manage it. So that's really the, as far as the mixed use type of model, at least for Texas, that was probably one of the first ones. And I think a lot of people look at that as one of the best run. They're probably the largest developer in Central Texas. And they have come on board now and they are taking over the lead on this project. The group that initially started it was about, if you recall, some of the renderings that we shared now it's probably been 3 years ago, that was about 160 acres, give or take. It was right on the corner of Whitestone and County Road 175 in Cedar Park. The development group has now accumulated basically all of the land that was connected to that. So that has gone from 160 acres to almost 800 acres, which is more than double the size of the domain as a reference point. And so Endeavor had originally been interested in it, but not as much, because 160 acres, while it seems like a lot, is not quite enough for them to get involved. Once it got to 800 acres, they got interested again very quickly because you can do a lot more things. So they are taking the lead on it, which is fantastic because they have done a number of projects in Williamson County and in Cedar Park specific. They know the city council well, they know the economic group, they know the mayor, they've worked a lot in this area. So they are taking the lead on this, and this is their world. So they gave a presentation, or one of their managing partners, Ben Buffkin, gave a presentation to our management committee in December and brought everybody up to speed on it. Everyone's very excited. So we're looking forward to working with them on the next steps. But as they said, they're very interested in tennis and USTA being a part of that. So good news on all fronts, just from the fact that somebody that has that kind of leverage and understanding and development in this part of Texas is taking the lead on it says a lot. So we're looking forward to working with them on the next steps, and we'll update everybody as available. But I'm very, very, very excited about this.
Thank you, Van. Thank you, Bob, for that question. And Ainsley, you were going to put on the screen real quickly. I had asked the question about staff bios, and evidently it's on there. When I clicked on the family page, usually on some of our mailings, at the bottom we have you click on the family homepage, and then for me it was taking me to another link. And then I clicked on that link and it was bringing up the staff directory, but not with bios. And so you said it was another, so it's up at the top. Okay, well, I'll play with it and see, but when I clicked on the staff directory, I was not getting the full bios.
Yeah, so that's actually, there are two separate sections that are being discussed here. So first, we do have our basic staff information that's public or available to the general public on the USTA website. So that's USTA.com. That's going to be where this tag for USTA website is going to separate those. So if you were to click on this button, that would take you to USTA.com, where our extensions, roles, departments, all that jazz is listed. In the upper corner, if you wanted to learn as volunteers, wanted to connect with staff a little bit more, learn a little bit more about us, since you guys are a part of our Texas Tennis family as well, you have the opportunity to do so. So you
Okay.
click on the Our Team section, and
Yeah.
you can go into the Staff tab. So again, here's that little highlight just in case you wanted to get to the main website, but in alphabetical order, here are
Yep.
all of our beautiful faces,
Okay.
all of our
that explains it. Thank
people.
you. Yeah.
And then you can click on, if I wanted to email Mike Carter, look at him. Everybody loves emailing Mike Carter, and he loves getting your emails too. You'd be able to just click on his little adorable face right there, and it would take you to be able to email him directly from there. So
Okay.
this tells you a little bit about Mike, all of his fantastic accomplishments. Our most tenured staff member. He joined the Texas family in 1992, certified USPTA PTR, and also was involved with the PTM program at Tyler Junior College. So just as an example, you'd also be able to look at his territory, which our territories are also available in here for all of our formerly TSRs, now called our community service coordinators. Everybody's got a territory. So if you are in a certain county and you want to say, who do I need to contact? If I'm in Collin County, I would be reaching out to Mark Hodge. That's where I would go. So just a quick little overview. Hopefully that's helpful for all of our volunteers and gives them a chance to learn a little bit more about our staff personally.
Yeah, that's great, Ainsley. Thank you. I'm pretty experienced volunteer, and I didn't know to go up there. So, I mean, I clicked on the first thing I saw, which was the bigger headline, and you've now explained that. So I think that's important for our volunteers to know, and I appreciate the feedback on that. And thank you again, Ainsley, for all of your work in putting this presentation together and working with Julio on his presentation. And thanks again to Van and to Jackie for your updates. We appreciate that. And to our staff members and volunteers who've been on the call today. There are 3 more opportunities. Some people have already registered for those upcoming opportunities next Tuesday, next Wednesday, and then the following Saturday. So if you are in touch with your committee members and they didn't get a chance to catch this one, please tell them that they could still register for the upcoming ones next week. So thank you again for attending the Roundtable series, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.